Princess Leonor's wedding dress, most emotional bride entrance ever. The bells of Madrid rang with a clarity not heard in generations. Spain had seen royal weddings before, but never one like this. The expectation was simple. The future queen would glide into her wedding as tradition demands, draped in a gown of regal elegance. Yet what unfolded before the world's eyes shattered every expectation. The moment Princess Leonor appeared in her wedding dress, the air itself seemed to pause. Tears welled in the eyes of onlookers, voices trembled, and for a heartbeat, history stood still. But why did this particular entrance move the world so deeply? What secret was hidden in that gown that made millions cry? To answer, we must return to the story of a young woman, not just a princess, but a daughter, a sister, and a bride whose choice of attire carried centuries of weight. Leonor had been groomed from birth for duty, her steps choreographed by protocol, her words carefully measured. Yet on this day, she chose something entirely different: authenticity. The dress was not merely fabric, lace, and jewels. It was a canvas of history, memory, and personal defiance. The moment she appeared, whispers filled the cathedral. Observers noticed the subtle embroidery near the hem. It was no ordinary detail. Woven into the train of her gown were symbols from Spain's royal past, each stitch a tribute to monarchs who had carried the crown through war, hardship, and triumph. But more striking still, just above her heart, was a symbol never before seen in a Spanish royal wedding, a delicate nod to Denmark, to the family of her groom, Prince Christian. This was not simply a dress, it was a declaration of unity, a promise of two nations converging through love. The cameras captured every angle. The pearls along the veil shimmered under the cathedral's stained glass, each one rumored to have been chosen by her grandmother, Queen Sofia. To the public, it looked like elegance. But to the family, it was far more personal, a grandmother's final blessing, woven into her granddaughter's path toward destiny. Some wept at the symbolism, others at the sheer grace. Yet everyone asked the same question: who designed this breathtaking gown? The answer stunned even the most seasoned royal watchers. Leonor had entrusted not a foreign couture house, but a Spanish artisan, a designer known for crafting garments rooted in heritage and modern strength. This was her way of telling the world, I honor my people. I belong to Spain. But what about the entrance itself? Why did it feel so profoundly emotional? As the organ played, the grand doors opened, and Leonor began her walk. In that instant, the weight of her journey was visible. Every step was heavy with meaning. Her sacrifices at military academy, her years away from her family, her training to one day bear the crown. She was no longer just the young princess the world had watched grow up. She was a woman stepping into destiny, holding both love and duty in her hands. Some observers swore they saw her whisper a quiet prayer. Others claimed she mouthed words to her father, King Felipe, who watched with glassy eyes as his eldest daughter prepared to begin a new chapter. And then came the moment that silenced the cathedral. Leonor paused midway down the aisle. For a heartbeat, no one understood why. The music seemed to soften. Then, ever so subtly, she lifted her gaze toward her mother, Queen Letizia. In that shared glance, an unspoken story unfolded: gratitude, love, and perhaps even sorrow. It was as if Leonor was saying, this is not just the end of my childhood. This is the beginning of a future I will carry for all of us. The cameras zoomed in, capturing the raw emotion on both women's faces. Mothers across Spain felt it. Daughters recognized it. And millions around the globe, whether royalists or not, found themselves in tears. But this was not just a family moment, it was a political one. Royals rarely allow such vulnerability in public. Leonor's pause was, in its own way, revolutionary. It reminded the world that behind crowns and titles, there is humanity. Was this carefully planned, or was it a spontaneous gesture? That mystery remains. And it is precisely that uncertainty that deepened the magic of her entrance. As she reached Prince Christian at the altar, another surprise awaited. Observers noticed that the bouquet she carried was not made of freshly cut blooms, but of pressed flowers, preserved from gardens tied to both royal families. Some traced back to Denmark's Rosenborg Castle, others to the gardens of Spain's royal palace. It was not just a bouquet, it was a bridge, binding together centuries of history with a love story that had already captured the world's heart. From that moment, the curiosity loop spiraled further. What vows would she speak? Would her dress carry hidden messages beyond what was visible? And what would this union mean for the balance of Europe's monarchies? Every answer seemed to birth a new question. The dress, the entrance, the gestures, all formed a narrative greater than any fairy tale. This was not just Spain's princess becoming a bride. This was the dawn of a new royal era. For nearly 40 minutes, the world held its breath. The entrance became more than a walk down the aisle. It became a passage through time, a reminder that even the most powerful families are made of fragile, human moments. And in the shimmering glow of her gown, with tears on her cheeks and love in her eyes, Princess Leonor gave the world not just a spectacle, but a story that will be told for generations. And so the question lingers, was it the dress, the symbolism, or the sheer humanity that made it the most emotional bride entrance ever? Perhaps it was all three. Perhaps it was destiny itself, stitched into lace and memory, reminding us that even in a palace, even in a crown, there beats the heart of a woman who dares to love.